Deep beneath the sun-scorched plains of modern-day Iran, there exists a silent, rhythmic pulsing that has not stopped for nearly 3,000 years. While our modern megacities face a desperate, looming water crisis that threatens to turn fertile land into dust, an ancient desert civilization solved this exact problem without a single drop of fuel or a solitary microchip. We are taught to view the past as a series of primitive struggles, but in the darkness of these hand-carved tunnels, the technical superiority of the ancients is etched into the very stone. Imagine standing in the center of the Lut Desert, one of the hottest places on the planet, where the sand reaches temperatures that can blister human skin. There is no river in sight, no lake, and the clouds rarely offer more than a teasing shadow. Yet, for millennia, lush gardens and thriving orchards have bloomed here, defiant of the heat. This was not a miracle, but the result of the Qanat system, a sprawling subterranean network of gravity-fed aqueducts that constitutes one of the greatest engineering feats in human history. To understand the genius of this system, you have to visualize the sheer scale of the labor involved. These are not simple pipes. They're thousands of miles of tunnels, some stretching over 40 miles long, all dug by hand with nothing but primitive picks and leather buckets. The muqannas, or professional tunnel diggers, were the elite engineers of their day, working in a lightless, oxygen-deprived world deep underground. They were essentially carving a horizontal river through the heart of a mountain, relying on a mathematical precision that would make a modern surveyor sweat. But think about this for a second. The gradient of these tunnels is often as shallow as 1 meter of drop for every kilometer of distance. If the slope was too steep, the water would rush through and erode the tunnel, causing a catastrophic collapse. If it was too flat, the water would simply stagnate and disappear into the earth. The ancients were managing fluid dynamics with a tolerance for error that is almost non-existent. They were doing this in the dark, using nothing but the sound of water and the tilt of a weighted string to guide them. Here is where it becomes unsettling for our modern sensibility. In the 21st century, we solve water scarcity by building massive energy-hungry desalination plants and high-pressure pumping stations. These systems are incredibly expensive, prone to mechanical failure, and they rely on a constant influx of electricity. If the power grid fails, the water stops flowing. But the Qanat system requires zero external energy. It is powered entirely by the relentless, invisible pull of gravity. It is a perpetual motion machine for life itself, designed to run until the mountain itself runs dry. The part most people miss is the environmental intelligence behind this design. In the desert, where the sun can evaporate an inch of surface water in hours, the Qanat keeps the water at a steady, cool temperature, protected by meters of solid rock. It is a closed-loop system that respects the local ecology, taking only what the aquifer can naturally provide, rather than draining it to the point of collapse as we do today with deep well drilling. But this isn't just a story about water. It's a story about the psychological endurance of a civilization that viewed time differently than we do. A single Qanat could take decades to complete, meaning the men who started the dig knew they would likely never see the water reach the village. They were working for their grandchildren's grandchildren. In our world of quarterly profits and 4-year election cycles, we have lost the ability to build things that are meant to last for centuries. We build for the now, while the Persians built for the always. Consider the silence of these tunnels. When you descend into a Qanat shaft, the roar of the desert wind vanishes, replaced by a cool, damp stillness. The air is naturally chilled by the water, a phenomenon that the ancients used to create the world's first air conditioning. They built wind catchers on the surface, towering brick chimneys that funneled hot air down into the tunnels. The air was cooled by the subterranean water and then recirculated back into the homes above. Long before the invention of the compressor or the refrigerant, People were living in 60-degree comfort while the outside world baked in the hundreds. There is a profound sense of unease when you compare this to our modern urban planning. We have covered our cities with asphalt and concrete, creating heat islands that we then try to cool by burning more coal and gas, further heating the planet in a vicious self-destructive loop. The ancient Persians didn't fight the desert, they collaborated with it. They understood that the solution to a problem isn't always more power, but more harmony with the existing forces of the earth. Here is where it truly challenges our narrative of progress. In many parts of the world today, these ancient Qanats are being abandoned in favor of modern deep bore wells. These pumps can pull more water out of the ground in a year than a Qanat can in 10. At first, it looks like a victory for technology, but the pumps are too efficient. They're draining the ancient aquifers faster than the rain can replenish them. The water table is dropping, the land is subsiding, and the very ground is cracking open. By solving the problem with modern technology, we're actually destroying the resource forever. The Qanat system functioned as a natural governor. It only delivered what the mountain was willing to give. It forced the civilization to live within its means, preventing the kind of overexpansion that leads to societal collapse. It was a masterpiece of governance disguised as plumbing. Today, we lack that restraint. We believe that we can out-engineer nature, that if we run out of water, we'll just build a bigger pipe or a better pump. We are gambling with our future on the assumption that technology will always find a workaround. But what if the ancients were right? What if the most sophisticated solution is the one that doesn't require us to be clever every day just to keep it running? There's a humbling scale of the Qanat. If you were to lay out all the active and abandoned Qanat tunnels in Iran today, they would reach halfway to the moon. This is a subterranean monument to human persistence that makes the Great Wall of China look like a garden fence, yet it remains largely invisible to the modern eye. As the world's climate shifts and the water wars of the future begin to take shape, these ancient tunnels are starting to look less like relics and more like blueprints. There is an intelligence in the stone that we are only now beginning to rediscover. It is an unsettling realization to think that 3,000 years ago, a group of people in leather sandals solved the very crisis that currently keeps our greatest scientists awake at night. The final mystery of the Qanat isn't how they built it, but why we stopped thinking like they did. We have traded long-term stability for short-term convenience. We have forgotten how to listen to the mountain and how to build for a future we will never see. Deep in the darkness of the desert floor, the water is still flowing, a quiet liquid heartbeat reminding us that the past has already provided the answers we are still desperately searching for. We just have to be willing to go down into the dark to find them.